I'm here as a surgeon who's had many years of experience in the practice of medicine. I'm here as an American who believes in liberty. And I'm here as a former president of the AMA, not speaking for the AMA, but today I'm speaking as the national spokesperson for the Coalition to Protect Patients' Rights. And I encourage everyone to visit the website, protectpatientsrights.org. We are involved in a great debate. Part of the genius of America is the right to have free discussion, to put forth ideas, and let those ideas stand the test of critical analysis. And I hope that is what is happening in Congress. And as we look at this public option, which is really just another name. You can call something a turtle, but if it's really a zebra, it remains a zebra, right? The public option is a government option. Do we have experience with government options? Government control of medicine? We do. Go to Great Britain. I went to Great Britain when I was president of the AMA. I met with the chair of the board and all of the delegates there, and the chair of the board, and I published that in an article in the Journal of the American Medical Association, giving what we believe a way to ensure Americans and allow them to maintain their freedoms and allow them to have the choice that they need. They make the decisions with doctors as trusted advisors. And what did the outgoing chair of the board say? He said that in our system, and I've been in it a long time, I'm paraphrasing, but you can get the article and get the exact quote. He said it stifles innovation. And all of these guidelines and things that they mandate, it really does destroy the practice of medicine.
The Devil's Delusion, and the subtitle is equally important. It's The Devil's Delusion, Atheism and its Scientific Pretensions. Now these are books that have or display two themes that have really been a part of my life for the last 20 or 30 years, even longer, maybe 40 years. The first is the general and somewhat baffled observation that the most important secular institution in modern life, which is the institution of science, lacks for critics. There's certainly a great deal of internal criticism within every scientific field, peer review, for example. And it's certainly true that to a certain extent, fraud does get itself exposed, often in delicious newspaper articles. But when I'm talking about criticism, I mean criticism in a far broader sense, criticism that goes beyond the boundaries of peer review to become a cultural commodity. It is really remarkable that in the sense in which literature or dance or music has always entered public consciousness with a very rich body of criticism in attendance, science as an institution, a pervasive and all-important institution, really lacks for its critics entirely.
Would a move to a public option affect research on orphan diseases?
I believe that when the government controls everything, and that will happen with a government option known as the public option, then there is less money for anything, because we end up with a system that goes into deficit spending, and so you have less money for innovation, and orphan diseases will end up being at the end of the list.
How has media bias affected the national debate on patients' rights?
Well, you as a journalist will have to give the assessment, you and your colleagues, but certainly we believe, I believe, the coalition believes, and the doctors that I know, we believe that because we live in America, we need to have the ability to participate in the discussion and the debate, and we need to make sure that the media doesn't gloss over the so-called inconvenient facts that point out that government-controlled medical care is a disaster.
What do you perceive as the greatest risk to the American people with regards to the government or public option?
Well, the greatest risk is that patients won't be in control of their own destiny with the doctor as trusted advisor.
In your ideal world, how would scientific discoveries be subject to critique?
In my ideal world, it would be me. I think there should be a cadre of disciplined, dedicated people who know the underlying scientific theories, not necessarily professionals. There's a big difference between criticizing a theory and being a practitioner within a field. No one is demanding of, say, a David Brooks or a Gail Collins. They become particle physicists. But there should be a part of a newspaper or a journalist's education that involves detailed knowledge, underlying knowledge of the sciences, sufficient to allow them to be effective critics.
What role does the media play in the lack of scientific criticism today?
I think to a large extent it plays every significant role. And if you look at the major organs of dissemination, media information, the New York Times, Newsweek, Time, any of the major outfits, the people who are writing about science are profoundly illiterate. They take their information from public relations handouts, from the National Science Foundation, from the various scientific departments throughout the country. They get a press release, they say, this looks good, and they publish it. There is no real criticism.